Hey traders, Chris Pulver here. Happy Monday. It's the 8th of July and weekly outlook coming at you for the week of July 8th through the 12th. If you're wondering what's happening with this image, this is a little mystery box, and the deal is if you email me, cpulver@markettraders.com, questions pertaining to the financial markets, questions about trading, questions about getting started, or anything you'd like covered, you just have to let me know, and you will see what's inside the box in addition to getting your questions answered. So I look forward to those emails and answering all your questions, and let's go ahead and get started with the weekly outlook. So here we go. First, let's start with the news this week. I've got medium and high impact news. Let me go to high impact only. All eyes are on some Fed speakers this week. We have Jerome Powell taking the microphone. If I go into medium impact, you'll see that we have several other Fed speakers as well. Powell on Tuesday with some opening remarks. Let's see here. Opening remarks at an event hosted by the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston. Not really a big shaker there, but additional Fed speakers that day. What I'm more interested in with the Fed is the two-day testimony given by Powell. We also have more Fed speakers sprinkled in throughout the week. So where is Powell here? We have meeting minutes, press conference. Powell testifies in front of the House Financial Services Committee. So does the market want to know what Jerome Powell thinks about interest rates? Probably. That will likely come up on Wednesday and Thursday. We also have a Bank of Canada rate decision on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time with a press conference that follows. Technically speaking, you'll see me talking about the charts today. I look at the Canadian dollar and think that it should technically get a little bit weaker. It's been pretty much piggybacking on oil strength. We haven't really seen much more reason out of Canada to rally except for the volatility in oil. Meanwhile, we have analysts expecting the Fed to cut rates, in fact, take action by September and possibly see rates cut by 50 basis points or more, which does seem a little crazy. I really don't think the Fed's going to be that abrupt or violent to change rates that quickly over literally in the next couple of months. In fact, over the last several years, we've gone from 0.25 to 2.5, and we've done it all with 25 basis points increases. So for all of a sudden us to cut by 50 basis points seems a little extreme. I don't really see it playing out that way. But again, I'm sure that the markets want to know what the Fed is thinking. And we could see some decent movement on the dollar. We'll talk about that today in the weekly outlook. But all eyes also on the BOC. I'm expecting some weaker Canadian price movement. So whether or not that's happening because of a statement or because of the press conference, look and see what price action does this week. Elsewhere, we have some news in the pound. It is GDP and manufacturing for the pound. We have the financial stability report. We also have CPI numbers coming out of the U.S. on Thursday morning and PPI or producer price index on Friday. So it all kind of centers around the Tuesday, Wednesday combo. Wednesday is a heavy day with pound news, CAD news, and day one of Jerome Powell's testimony against the Senate. And then Thursday will be that day two with CPI. So that's really it to kind of kick off a post-holiday week, and we'll see what the dollar is in store for. So let's go into the markets, take a look. Let's just kind of go through a little bit of everything. So let me go into some candlesticks primarily. Aussie CAD. Now look, Aussie CAD is at a major support level. I'm not interested in buying it just quite yet because we haven't seen the real turning point. We're right down at 9,100. We're coming back to equal lows. I would love nothing more than this thing to hold these lows and start going higher. But I think the safer move is let's not tempt in case it drops further. In fact, if you just look at this from a higher time frame, I think if we get on the right-hand side of the trend line, this looks a lot better to break higher. But if it goes lower and lower and lower, one thing that might be happening towards the end of July or August is that we're going to see the market establish some highs and lows for the year. Whether or not that comes just on the Canadian dollar, comes on oil, we're not sure yet. But I don't want to just jump in and say, hey, it's a good level, let's buy it. I already did that. We bought it over here at 91.25. We took it up towards 9,200. We took some profit, protected our profit. It's just a lot better on the right side of the trend line, so I will wait for that. Aussie Swiss. Currently, I'm long on the Aussie Swiss and going to look to continue to stay long. This is probably expecting a brief pullback. So low to high, maybe a little pause or a little pullback, and then looking for more bullishness towards this yellow box, which is around 7050. So with your respective system strategies direction, looking to stay bullish on the Aussie Swiss towards 7000 or 7050 before I start protecting some profit. Aussie yen, it looks like a bullish crown. However, we've seen some crowns be a little tricky, and I think this might be no exception. So left tip, center tip. I would like to see it come back and find equal lows and then go higher. What I'm looking for with the sentiment strength line is if we come back into these lows, we would hopefully see a nice little lineup with our red sentiment strength line. And that means if we go red, 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 red perhaps, or maybe whatever, just little reds is what I want to see, just like this, little reds and then a green. If we see a few red sequences to the downside and then we see one green, that's enough for me to hopefully see buy trade, stop area below. That's the right tip of the crown forming, and I want to see that push to the upside. Low to high, higher low to higher high, and takes profit up here. So I'm going to wait a little bit longer on the Aussie, and just in case we do see a pullback, as far as price action goes, I'm watching for that. Let me go back to the candlestick chart. I'm watching for that equal low, which is around 75.10 or 75.20. You can set some chart alarms there as well. That'd be a nice spot to watch some structure and look for some bullishness or indecision to start buying that area. Aussie New Zealand, currently just above 105. We're still in a large range, and it wouldn't surprise me. In fact, this question came up today in the Flex trading room. Does the Aussie New Zealand typically go to the 786? And my answer is yes. I've been trading this pair for a long time. I've made a lot of profit on this. I love this currency pair, but yes, it is so efficient that usually it does pull back to the 786. So although we had a nice little rally last week from 104, 10, 104.20 all the way up through 105, it might not be able to break and go higher. So it might just stall here and then slowly work its way back down. You can see with the absence of news for the Aussie and New Zealand that it might just be flowing sideways or in this slightly descended channel. That's a bear channel for right now. I still look at this long term as whatever happens in here is just building up for a bigger move to the upside. So I'm incredibly patient on this one. I will try to buy every possible low that I can, even if it's a scalp and another scalp and another scalp, and then eventually I'm just going to hold my positions and add on to my current positions that I'm holding for the long-term bullish outlook on that Aussie New Zealand. Aussie dollar. This was just off the recent highs at 7,000. Let me zoom out here and go to a higher time frame. Take a look. So I would like to see this area between around 68.50 and 7,000 maintain its current levels. So it does look like we have a bit of a crown. There's a low, there's a low. Are we able to get a pullback and then go higher? Or for the month of July, perhaps we're just going from low to high, back to low, back to high, back to low, back to high, and just have some range-bound conditions. I still like this flash crash low and all these lows right here forming the bottom that gets us on the right side of this channel. I still would like to buy the Aussie dollar. If we have a weaker dollar coming in the next 2 to 4 weeks or a couple of months, this will be a great trade to the upside. All right, so I am looking for evidence to continue to buy the Aussie dollar. It's just how clean is it going to set up. Perhaps the best level to watch for is to buy it around 68.60, and again at the flash crash levels, stop area below, and we start targeting 7,400 or higher on this pair, or we can just wait for the trend line to break. I just noticed that is not in the right place. I'm going to park Bitcoin way down here at the bottom. So I have everything else in alphabetical order. Here we go. Hopefully it stays there. Okay, good. CAD Swiss. We just took some big profits on the CAD Swiss. We had a stop, moved and protected. We were in at 74.05 and ended up taking profit today around 75.99. So very pleased to inform everyone that we grabbed about 190, 195 pips out of this trade, and that is mission accomplished. From here, hopefully, just like I said earlier, with technical resistance and technical weakness coming on the Canadian dollar, this is a straight move to the upside. We want to see it stall and start to come back down, whether it's halfway or all the way. It doesn't really matter. I just want to see some weaker Canadian dollar movement. CAD Swiss in the short term is probably a sell trade in the short term after taking some profit. But a good run to the upside, and actually have my perfect storm currently holding some sell trades, looking for 30 pips and looking for range bottoms. CAD Yen. This one we've already taken profit on. We'll just leave this alone for now. This could continue to drift to the upside, but given this little trend line support, if we see a weaker Canadian dollar, it will probably come back into that trend line, and then from there, it's either a bounce or it's a drop back to equal lows. This one's not high on my priority list for this week. Euro, Aussie, nope, Swiss yen, also not high on the priority list. We are sitting in between a little channel. Is it going to go down to the lows or come back up to the highs? I don't know. Leave it alone. probably not a good trade at this time. Euro Aussie. We protected a bunch of profit on the Euro Aussie. A lot of traders were able to capture pips all the way down towards 6070. That is an excellent job. And now we're looking for the next trade. So here's high to low. If we have a correction back up towards 6,000 or 6,100, I like looking for resistance to sell it again. So high to low, lower high to lower low. If it comes into the monthly pivot at 58.50, fantastic. If it goes any lower, move those stops and trap those profits into these previous lows around 5,700. But I want to continue to look to short the Euro Aussie. Euro CAD, currently at 4,674. This is 9 daily candles in a row, not counting today, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 daily candles in a row that have been bearish. Today is showing indecision. If you look left on this chart, you'll see some pretty decent support. Not too far away. We did break, these lows, but you can see, lots of clustering between 47 and 4,500. If we do continue to drift a little bit lower, that is okay. Currently, I'm looking for a chance to get long, and the best spot will be just waiting for the right side of the trend line and get a break higher. If it goes a little bit lower, forming some bottoms, look to buy it super low. Otherwise, if we see a weaker BOC statement or a dovish BOC statement and a weaker Canadian dollar with respect to price action, that we should be heading back towards 4,900 to 5,000, so we can grab a few pips if you're buying it nice and low. Also, a nice thing to look for would be a sentiment strength line U-turn. Anything that's green or bullish in here looks good. If you're using Perfect Storm, it probably has some entries in for you. I'm not using the EuroCAD in the Perfect Storm. I'm using CAD Swiss. It's the sister pair, but inversely correlated with lower volatility. We also have a really nice bar count on the EuroCAD right here on the 1 hour, looking for a corrective trade into the red ribbons. So respective systems-wise, I'm liking that we have some low opportunities to buy coming. I might be in, I certainly am in a little bit early, but between the 4 hour, the 8 hour, and the daily, I'm also seeing a lot of decent disagreement. So here's the daily chart. Here's the 8 hour chart. And right here, we just had some fresh lows on the 8 with, lows to price, a little bit of disagreement right there on the momentum oscillator. That's a good sign. On the 4 hour, it is very noticeable. So take a look at the 4 hour chart. There you go. So you can see that momentum has not, even though price has been steadily dropping, we are not doing anything other than staying sideways or now actually going the other way. So divergence is there for sure. It's just a matter of, turning the corner. It looks like a nice little 4 hour candle, at least today. Let's see if that's enough to justify, get down the right-hand side, returning to, like I said, 49 to 5,000. Euro Swiss, I remain long on the Euro Swiss, looking to get back to 1260, which is this previous high. Also, there's a nice big level here at 1,300. So I'm going to hold this Euro Swiss bullish for a little bit longer, as long as I need to. Euro Pound. Euro Pound. Patience, but we've got some sell trades in. I have another pending sell at 9,039. Also keep an eye on the 9,000 round number. That is 9,000. We might see price. I actually had a fun little session this morning in the Flex Trading Room. We've seen trading ranges get as low as 20 pips. In fact, I had one that was like 18 pips for an entire day. So very little momentum left in the upside, but it might just continue to drift and hit 9,000 and hit 90.39 and then start to fall. Just enough to squeeze out traders and then start to reverse. So be on the lookout for that with Euro Pound to the downside. And then also that means Pound Swiss would be going to the upside. Euro Yen, this one is sideways in a smaller range, similar to the Swiss Yen. We can probably leave this one alone for now. There's support around 121 and resistance around 123. So where it currently sits is in the middle, so don't trade this. You want to look to buy low or look to sell high if you want to trade that range. Otherwise, cross it off the list. Euro New Zealand, similar to Euro Aussie. I'm looking for a chance to sell it again. Hopefully this gives us low, previous low. Let me use some straight lines instead. You have a low, previous low, left tip, center tip. If we can form a right tip, hopefully, around 7,000 perhaps, nice round number, 7,100 if it goes a little bit higher. Look for a trend line break and look for a leg lower. 1, 2, this would be high to low, pull back, lower high to lower low. So we're looking for 1, 2, 3 to the downside. That would be my plan for Euro Aussie and Euro New Zealand. Euro dollar, we're currently at 12.15. All eyes on the dollar this week with Jerome Powell and the other Fed speakers. So currently I have decided to take these very small buy positions, and part of it is just, I have a 6-month to 12-month window on it. I'm not really that concerned about, is the dollar going to go that much higher? Probably not. Well, that means that the euro dollar won't go that much lower. The euro dollar can continue to come down. It can still go to 111 again. It can certainly come into 110, and it can disappoint all traders that try to get in long right here, only to set up this low, more disagreement on higher time frames, and then we establish the big move because it is going to go to 118. That's what it should do based on this falling wedge and all these major time frames and all this indecision. It should be able to run to 117 or 118. The hard part is timing this. The hard part is knowing what exactly is going to be the catalyst for it. But technically speaking, this is a really clean trade. Now, I don't think it's going to go that much lower. If it does do anything, I'm hoping it just stays sideways here and it builds support off of those previous lows just around 111, finds that same level, possibly 110 using the backside of this wedge's trend line, and then goes up towards 117. So be on the lookout for this. I'm watching these range levels. I'm trading super small. But, my 6 to 12 month prediction is that we're going to get this euro dollar to 1700 or higher. And I'll be ready for it. But I'm certainly not going to, bet the farm right now. I'm just going to start dipping my toes in the water and seeing this is a good level to trade. So that's euro dollar. Pound Aussie, still looking to sell it. We had a fantastic sell trade from 88.50 all the way down. We're not holding any lower. We actually scored some points around 8,200, got out. We wanted to see a better pullback. We just didn't get it. We sold it way up here, took a nice ride down towards these lows. That was a lot of profit. I was hoping for a bit more of a, pronounced retracement that we could get involved in, but instead it was barely a pullback. So we have this big high to low. It was pretty much right at the pip of the 38% retracement, and we've pushed down to the 127. So more than likely this may do this. It might come back to the low and then drop one more time. It might come back up to the 382 or very close to it and then stay more range bound for the next couple of weeks. Not sure yet. I do prefer to sell it. So if it is an opportunity to sell it there, I would like that. If it's an opportunity to sell it there, I would like that too. So my preference is to still sell the pound Aussie after a retracement. Pound Canadian dollar. I'm actually looking for some weakness on the CAD, so this should be in a bit of a recovery trade. We've had, just like the EuroCAD, a lot of consecutive movements to the downside. In fact, we're on I think with the weekly chart, we've had multiple weeks in a row, like 6 or 7 weeks in a row of bearishness. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 so far. This is 9 candles in a row. One indecision candle, but we have 8 of 9 candles all bearish. So super aggressive. And again, look left on the chart. What do you have? Major lows around 61, major lows of the round number at 6,000. That'd probably be the lowest low that I would expect here, at least in the short term. So I am looking to buy this again around 6,055. And even if it's a range, if it bounces off of 6,000 super firm and goes up towards 65 or 67 or 7,000, which would be, 1,000 pip recovery, right? 6,000 to 7,000. But we have dropped from 77 to current levels. So we've dropped already 1,400 pips. So can it recover 38% of that or 50% of that? Sure. Easy stuff. So watching, certainly waiting for a trend line to break will help, or a trend line break will help. A weaker CAD this week will help. This also has a fantastic bar count on my right trader strategy. And I'm looking for the 4-hour in particular because we have not touched the ribbons in quite a while. So this bar count has stretched into 240 bars. That's a lot on a 4-hour chart. Now, you're not seeing any evidence right now to start buying it. I wouldn't. I would just be waiting for a trend line to break. But there's a nice area to trade right in here between the ribbons. And it's not just in between, but also we should be able to hit this shaded zone as well. So a few more pips to the upside. And we should be looking for a turning point. That's all. Right? So I'm looking for a chance to buy. Another easy strategy to use is your sentiment strength line. If we turn green, you can take the buy trade with your stop area below. So that's really clean confirmation there. We also have a large harmonic pattern, which is a shark and butterfly. That's still valid. It's sitting right at the lows. It depends on how this daily and weekly candle close, but watching that area as well. All right, pound Swiss. This one is the inverse of the euro pound. So I'm looking for the euro pound to short, and that means I want to be long on the pound Swiss. It hasn't really gone any lower. It's starting to turn the corner a little bit. We should be able to round out some bottoms and get back towards 2,800, maybe even 3,000. And this is high, low. Let's look and see how it retraces and recovers. But we should be able to see a recovery on the pound Swiss. Pound yen, small channel. We can probably just cross this one off, or you have to get in there and watch your lows, watch your highs, watch your lows, watch your highs, and trade within this range. That's a lot of high maintenance trading because you have to monitor those levels closely, but it could be very lucrative if you sell here with a stop, if you buy here with a stop, right? Stop below, sell here, buy here. I mean, there might be opportunities over the next couple of weeks to keep trading this range on the pound yen. Pound New Zealand. Pound New Zealand, same as pound Aussie. I'm looking to sell. Looking for a trend line break. We didn't really get anything clean. You can see this trend line that I had drawn. It was very much sideways, and then we broke, and we didn't really have much of a pause or pullback there either. So I would like to see a pullback of some sort, something like this. Look for previous lows to become resistance, and then we can sell this again. So I'm wanting to stay bearish on the pound New Zealand and the pound Aussie. Just want to see a trend line break first. Pound dollar, just off the 2,500 lows. In fact, we had a spike at 24.80. Now, this one I have set up from a higher time frame. I'm currently holding a very small long position at 26.50, and I have another pending buy at 24.80. Now, all I'm looking to do here is see if this low, which was back in January and December of last year to this year, if that area holds for a very firm double bottom, and we go back up towards 32 or 3,300. Now, even if we take trades off the lows and take it to 3,000, I'd still be happy with 400 to 500 pips there and not have to hold it all the way up, but I will certainly try. So I want to see if the pound dollar is more of a range trade from buying low with very little risk and trying to take it up to 3,000 or 3,300 for a nice big win. New Zealand CAD, this one still has pressure to the downside, but again, I'm looking for a weaker Canadian dollar. We probably will see this one jump towards this 8,900 resistance. If it goes any lower, it's forming a bit of a wedge from what I can make of it, and we should have a short-term correction coming anyway. That does align with CAD basket weakness. New Zealand Swiss, currently still long and holding long. A couple of big levels. I have 4 positions in, and going to continue to hold it towards 66.50 or higher, which is why I have this protect buy trade zone right around 66.50. New Zealand Yen, this one is a crown pattern similar to the Aussie Yen. There's your left tip. There's your center tip. If we come in and form, something around this 71.20 area, I would consider looking for a chance to buy if you're watching price action closely. You can also wait for a pretty straightforward, retracement, correction, look for a trend line in there, and then take a buy trade. That can be done on different time frames. Also, you can keep it really simple. Let's see how this sentiment strength line behaves. If this becomes, let's say, I kind of hope that it does this actually. I hope it goes bearish for one more line to the downside and then goes bullish. And then we can take a buy trade, stop area below, and go after whatever is in store for bullishness. So I want to try to get a better entry. If we get a pullback, that'd be great. I'd like to see it, just maybe this little retracement into here. Then we go bullish after that with stops below the U-turn. Next up, New Zealand dollar. Had a really sharp retracement last week, but I don't think this has stopped for me from buying it. In fact, I still want to buy it. Now, in the short term, I'm looking for one of two things. Either this is just a really aggressive pullback for this to still shake it off and go higher, or we're going to come back down again and revisit 6,500 and probably look for another opportunity to bounce. We bought this at 64.99 before, made some money. Bought it again at 64.99, made some money. So we have our next order, you guessed it, at 64.99, trying to make some more dollars on this currency pair. So that's the deal for this one. I'm still looking bullish. If it does give an easier setup, it's obviously I'd love to buy it as low as possible. But if this is just going to set up for a little consolidation and we see price action staying bullish, then we can take a little scalp or a better entry with stops below that type of structure. But I need to see it at least pause for right now. Otherwise, I want to set my orders at a really, really solid bottom in this case. Next up, not the SPY. That should go all the way to the top. I don't know how this got unorganized. This should be dollar CAD. There we go. Dollar CAD. We're currently around 130.85. Again, short-term weakness I'm expecting for the CAD. Therefore, I'm looking for this to break the trend line. I did put in a buy trade last week during a non-farm payroll session, and here's what I'm going to do. I bought it at 31. I'm looking to add to it at 3009. My stop area is below 3000. Now, in order for me to close out, I need price to close below 3000 with at least a daily candle. If it doesn't, I'm going to stay in the trade and look for a brief recovery towards 3200 or higher. We'll see if the BOC drives that home this week. Also, there's a nice, huge inefficiency right there with this previous low that I'm eyeing as well. So that's why I have the green line there, plus the yellow box, plus this previous low. And if we can get on the right-hand side of the trend line, it should be able to generate a correction for us and make us some pips. Dollar Swiss. The Swiss has been on the weaker side. We are breaking this trend line. I had a buy trade in at 97.25 along with my flex trading room, and we grabbed profit early. It was part of it in the wake of the dollar selling off. We made a few pips on it. I just didn't think it was the lowest low. It's okay. I think we're going to get another opportunity to buy it. It's just not currently where I want to buy it. I hope this actually finds a way to go lower. I'll buy it down here. Or I want to see some structure on the right-hand side of the trend line before I start to buy it again. It's just been, straight down, straight up. If we stay sideways, do we go down again or go up again? I don't know. So it's not exactly clean, so I'll leave it alone. Dollar yen, 108.65. Had an opportunity to buy the right side of the trend line, so here's your break of the trend line, pulls back and buy the retest or buy the double bottom. The retest worked out pretty nicely, and here we are back to previous highs, 108.70. A big close that's going to be important here is, do we have a daily candle closing higher? If we do, then we're coming back at least towards 109 and maybe even more to the upside. We'll find out. Dollar peso. For once, I have a decent setup coming on the peso. I'm watching this area closely. I think what's going to happen, I'm just going to use my simple strategy here for sentiment strength line. We have a nice sequence of bearishness, and you can see where we had some U-turns. Looking for U-turns, looking for U-turns. If we come down and show red and more red and more red and then have a big green close, that's going to be my area to buy. Stop area below. Try to take this all the way back up to this giant line around 19.5. So it's partly, just waiting for a nice setup, partly waiting for confirmation. If we are correct in this trade, we should be looking at about a 2,000 pip risk for a 5,000 to 6,000 pip upside. So it's your, it's similar to a 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 reward to risk. I'm really picky on the peso. It has been in kind of a siesta for most of 2019, but doesn't mean that we can't have a great trade, especially right here at 19.5. So I am looking for justification to buy it. I just want to know, can we hold the levels? Can we hold the bottoms? If so, I'm going to buy the peso. Let's see here. Dollar index. Take a look. Dollar index, this happened last week. We haven't really come back off these lows. We're just going straight up off those lows, but watch for resistance here. We could have it coming to equal highs, coming back down, just range-bound trading. The more sideways we get, the better it looks for bearishness. If this thing just takes off to the north, maybe that's to the chagrin of market analysts thinking that, oh, the Fed's going to cut rates. If they don't hint at anything about rate cuts, I think the market's going to hate it. I think the stock market's going to have a hard time rallying with the dollar staying firm. So I've said this the last couple of weeks. I think this is important to know that something's got to change. You're not going to see a stronger dollar and a stronger stock market. Something's going to have to break. And in order for the dollar to play ball, the Fed's going to have to work and either really do a great job of jawboning the U.S. dollar lower or in fact take action and cut rates. So that remains to be seen, but we will see what happens over August and September. If they do cut rates, then September is probably the likely month. It could be a September and December lineup. But this week with the testimony in front of Senate, Jerome Powell might be hinting at what is possibly going to happen. So the market might start moving ahead and pricing things in. You never know. All right, oil. Last couple of instruments here. So oil still in a wedge. We have heavy resistance at 60. We have support now around $52, $53. Gold and silver, as long as silver remains above $14.50, $15 even better. Gold needs to remain well supported around $13.65. It's a nice little pullback area. I still remain long on both gold and silver. Bitcoin is also experiencing a nice little volatility. We had up to almost 14,000, came all the way back to 9, and we're sitting around 12. So I made this analogy earlier. It's really just like a tuning fork. We had this big movement movement, and now the market's going to try to find some equilibrium. So we might not see a lot of volatility out of Bitcoin until it finds some balance, but if there's willing buyers, then we go higher. So this is, lots of volatility, take a little breather and see if the buyers are interested to take it up again. If this does play out to be a little bit longer of a correction, maybe this is going to be a little longer correction, that's fine. Again, let's see if there's willing buyers. But I'm still holding long Bitcoin from 6, 5, and 4, and I'm enjoying this profit, and I hope there's a lot more to come. So I'm just going to continue to hold all those little, the ripples of the world, and Ethereum and Litecoin and Bitcoin and some altcoins or whatever you want to get your hands in. But it's just an investment like anything else. So that'll do it for this week's Outlook. Like I said, mystery box. So you'll know more about that, but the way to play along and the way to engage is send me an email and ask me a question. You can put subject mailbag, and over the coming weeks, coming months, I look forward to doing lots of great content, lots of great educational videos on anything and anything that is Forex related, stock related, financial markets related, geopolitical related. I mean, I'll weigh in on whatever. I'm constantly reading, I'm constantly analyzing. So if you want to talk about it, I will do my best to answer it. So that's it for me this week, everybody. This is Chris Pulver. Have a great week, and I'll see you all in my respective classes, and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.